Friends, welcome to the new Super Team podcast. Today we have, along with Akshay, we have an 80s porn star, Mr. Rajesh Shivaramakrishnan, starred in popular adult movies in south of India. He's played many villainous roles where he kidnapped the heroine
in Costa Rica, which is where he is a resident right now, as the head of developer relations at a blockchain that has. And with that lovely introduction, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Chase Barker.
What's up, Chase?
What's up, guys? Head of developer ecosystem, by the way. I got promoted. I have no idea why, but here I am today.
It's because you finally grew a mustache. That's what everybody was waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, like this is most likely the reason why I am where I am today. So
this is the first time that we've been coerced into doing a podcast by a guest. Usually it goes the other way around. I've never had a guest tell us so many times, why aren't you inviting me?
I mean, it's fair, and I did, and I begged, and I cried a couple times during this whole sort of thing, and I was like, listen, like, was there at the beginning of Super Team. Why do you guys hate me? Tanmay would just not talk to me at all. He wouldn't return my DMs or anything, but at least I'm here. So
because usually what we do is we invite guests who we don't really know that well and who are also well respected. So for those two criteria, we hadn't invited.
Do you know the number of weekly catch-ups I have with Chase? 0. Scheduled. You know the number of times I talk to Chase in a week? 11.
Sometimes in the same day. I really do appreciate. I know there's a lot way more smarter than people than me that come on this podcast.
Just for context, we had Anatoly 3 days ago.
Well, yeah, but I'm smarter than him, so that doesn't what are we talking about here?
Chase is maybe one of the most sought after developer growth leads in crypto and has been one of the very few voices in Solana during the bull, during the bear, regardless of when it was, building community from the bottoms up, using his Twitter as distribution to identify awesome developer talent and either hook them up with jobs or grants, or truly embracing the bottoms up spirit of crypto in ways that were not rewarded by the Solana ecosystem, especially during the bull market when all of the noise was being made by all these financial outfits. But he stuck through all of that, and he's really built one of probably the best developer communities with the rest of his team. And that's the reason he's on the podcast, and that's the only good words I'll ever say about him in public. We can go back to talking.
Chase, what were you doing before Solana? Can you give us a brief? Can you give us some material that we can then roast you about? Can you tell us your story?
Yeah. So I was an engineer for 12 years before I started trading Ethereum in 2017 through the bull market. I lost all of it in 2018. It was coming back. It never came back. I lost it all. Through that process, I actually found a project called Kin, which was one of the biggest ICOs of 2017. And I built a tip bot during one of their hackathons that you could tip crypto on all the different social platforms. And during that time, I was like, this is really cool. I really hate my fucking Web 2 job. Can I get a job? And they were like, all of our jobs are in Israel. I'm like, of course they are. But we have this developer relations job in the US. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. What the hell is that? And then I looked it online, and then I took the job anyways because I was literally miserable in Web 2. I was just doing some things here and some things there. And I felt like I was doing nothing with my life, but I was an engineer. So I took it. I built a community. I did some really cool stuff. Kin migrated onto Solana. During that process of migrating onto Solana, I interacted with a bunch of the team. Eventually in 2021, I started DMing Raj and the rest of the team. I saw they had a DevRel job. I basically just DM'd them into submission, and then they finally hired me as the first DevRel. From there, now we're 5 or 6 DevRel people deep. We built the Solana cookbook with the help of Super Team and like all these other contributors. And like really throughout that process, I really just learned like how do you scale an ecosystem, and it's like through the community. It's not doing it yourself. So like I'll just stop there because I know there's a lot more to talk about that later.
So coercion is the main way how you get things done in
Yeah.
your life.
It's
Badgering
just
people into.
yeah. I usually like when I'm on a call with somebody that I want to build on Solana, I wear this leopard skin print shirt.
No wonder Solana has such a good BD effort.
Honestly, like the crazy thing is like when it started, like obviously it wasn't coercion. It was really just me perusing Discord and seeing these people that were doing really cool shit and then bringing them into a private Discord and asking them why they were doing these things. They were like, we just love it. Like, and I've said this on another podcast. They're like, we're nerds. We want to support the tech. We just want to like, we think this is fucking cool. So they started doing it. And then I started potentially like paying them like a small salary over the course of every month. And then that became my original DevRel team, which was Jacob Creech and Donnie, and like the whole team was built. I had never even looked at any of their resumes. And like I've said this a million times, like I don't care about that. What were you doing? What cool shit were you doing? What was your sort of motivation for this? And if it's altruistic and you just like were interested, passion for me outweighs experience a million times over. If you're an engineering mind and like into this stuff, you can figure that stuff out. But like if you already had that passion, like that doesn't come within a LinkedIn resume. There's nothing about a LinkedIn resume that interests me whatsoever unless you had that passion.
Yeah, altruism really worked out well for Solana this last time around. So sorry, I know it's serious. Okay. All right.
No. But it's like also like one of the funny things is like this whole sort of 75 devs thing that came up. Like I'm a meme killer, dude. Like I'll like do the stay tuned thing. I'll do the like whatever meme that is the thing, and I will drive it to the ground and like make fun of it. And also, I kind of already knew internally that our dev ecosystem was going to be one of the biggest ones, like before Electric Capital, because we track that internally. So for me, it was like, let's just make this meme very like poignant to everybody, because very soon everybody's going to know that's not the truth. So like,
there's a really good story of you letting someone in. So when we were having the hacker house last year, Tanmay, somebody DM'd Chase. When we announce these hacker houses, they get registrations and they get full very quick, right? They sort of like get like, and then we have wait lists and things like this, which is a testament to the amazing developer talent in India. But somebody DM'd Chase and said, hey, can you let me into the hacker house? Somehow he saw this DM and let that person in. I think it's a pretty good story for you to tell, because that person is now doing something pretty cool.
Yeah. So you're going to have to pronounce his name for me.
No, you're going to do it yourself. Come on, Chose.
Chose Burkar.
Anyway, so
Irfan is his name.
In Lisbon, I was getting called Chaze, which I really, really like the pronunciation of that name. I was like, ooh, I was wearing this shirt. They called me Chaze. I'm like, this is nice. Yeah. So I got I got a DM.
Irfan.
Yes. So he sent me a DM and he was really being like, hey, like I'm really into Solana. I want to do this thing. So I just reached out internally. I was like, hey, this is like a really sort of, and that's what I look for. Like I said earlier, like passion. So I was getting this message is like, I need to be there. I need to be part of this thing or whatever. And I was like, listen, I'm going to do this. If you say this publicly.
He was taking a train from Jammu to Delhi to come for the hacker house.
And I was like, listen, I'm gonna do this. If you tell anybody this publicly, I'm going to come to your house, wherever it is in India. I'll never find it, but I'm going to come there and I'm going to shame you somehow with a bell from like Game of Thrones, like ding, ding, ding. Anyways,
just the mustache and shirt is shameful enough. It's okay. Just show up and say you know him. And that's.
But he got in and he started a TypeScript project on Solana, and now he's doing a bunch of other stuff. And like, this is really like how Solana has been winning. And it's not just me. It's not these other people. It's Armani. It's Alain Portals. Like every time I do one of my episodes of Chewing Glass, I ask like why they got there and how they came. And it's literally the same story every time. I came for the tech. I stayed for the community because it's so welcoming. It doesn't matter if you're like build something incredible or if you ship a hello world, the community's like, fuck yes, you're here. And you don't see that in other ecosystems. And I'll just be honest, like a lot of other ecosystems are very intellectual and some of them are just like, what can I get from you? But for us, it's like, get over here and let's hang out and like let's build some shit. And I don't care if it's simple, I don't care if it's big. Later on that can come, but like just like come join us and like have a good time. It's a big testament to what we've been able to accomplish.
By the way, Irfan's now a full-time member, one of probably the fastest members of Super Team, and he's a core contributor to Lamport DAO. So that's pretty cool, right? And
nice.
and it's great to see these folks go out and like crush in the rest of the ecosystem. And thank you, Chase, for letting an unauthorized person into the hacker house. Next time that could be a security risk, and so I will be sure to flag this to the teams hosting the hacker house.
And I want to go back to when you discovered Solana, right? Like, because Akshay told me about Solana in end 2020. Akshay, I forget when it was.
Yeah, I think it was the end of 2020. We have on-chain transactions where we tried a couple of early protocols with solid wallets, so we can go back and check.
Oh yeah,
pre Phantom, and you got into Solana 2021, right? Did you know at that point, like, because so much happens in crypto in like a year, right? Like it began with, at that point, Solana was another layer one. And then slowly the meme built up. There was the ETH killer meme. Then there was the Solo Navax meme. And, at that point, the ecosystem wasn't as big. There was a lot of promise. Like, did you foresee what would happen with Solana? Because Akshay saw it coming, actually. Akshay actually predicted it, saying that, look, it's cheap and it's fast and it's got, really sexy UI. This is going to be where retail is going to transact. Did you see that when you wanted to apply to Solana?
Yeah, so I like I said, I was at another blockchain like Kin, which was a fork of Stellar at the time, and they were like, "Hey, we're getting capacity of our blockchain. We need to go somewhere else." And that was the first time that somebody mentioned Solana. I had no idea what it was. I got put into some Slack channels with all these guys, and it was Anatoly and Raj and Dan Albert, who's like the head of the foundation right now. We started working on migration. The sort of lead infrastructure team at Kin was like, these guys are really fucking smart. And then I started watching some things with Anatoly, and we started the process of the migration. And like in like mid to like late, as we're going through the migration to get Kin on there, the real big thing for me was like, this is either one, a giant scam, or two, like the next thing beyond Ethereum. And luckily, like by 2021, when I made that jump onto Solana, the bet was right. But honestly, I saw it as like a lot of big promises. I saw like the Break app, and then I got introduced to like Armani on Twitter, and I started to see some of these on-chain order books, and I was like, okay, this is cool. But early on, like, you're just listening to a bunch of words and a bunch of promises. So you just like have to have some conviction in either direction. You can't stay in the middle. So yeah, I didn't have like the foresight. I sort of just like was put in a position to slowly like watch it happen.
I remember when during the Bangalore Hacker House,
everybody wanted selfies with you. Akshay told everybody that you were going to be a room by yourself, and
no. This was Bangalore Hacker House was before me and Chase knew each other, right? Like, so me and Akshay, we were very bullish on. We knew that okay, India dev ecosystem, like we were very bullish on it, right? But I used to always ask Akshay, saying, "Hey, at labs, like do they know, like." Because the Bangalore Hacker House was the first time that you would have seen in person what we were talking about. What were you expecting when you came down? And it took, I remember Akshay, first I want to ask you, what were you expecting when you came down?
Right. But let me just point this out, and Akshay knows this, and I'm not gonna like just like toot my own horn, but I will. But like I saw this like way before this. Akshay and I have been talking forever. Super Team DAO was like literally, I didn't even understand it at first, and then like I started to slowly get it, and like I just like started to like share this stuff, and then like start on Solana. What was the group that did that, Akshay?
Questbook.
Questbook. They did that.
Yeah.
And then like Jacob and Donnie like started working on this on a cookbook. And then like you guys came up with the Glass Eater NFTs, and like they made the Glass Eater NFT, drove the entire super team to build like to contribute, and they built probably 75% of the content on there. And like that was like, I already knew this before that, but once I saw that, I was like, that's it. This is it. This is like how you do it. Like I already had a signal that community is how you scale, because I'd been like doing this like through like part-time DevRel at the time. But like once I saw those contributions come in, once the signal came from Super Team, and I was like, holy shit, these guys built like the entire Solana cookbook, or like a large portion of it in like a couple months just to get an NFT. I was like, we're onto something here.
Not just an NFT, they also got listed on the billboard, which was Tanmay's outrageous idea to find a billboard somewhere in Gujarat and put the photos of everyone who contributed to Solana cookbook.
Wow, that feels so long ago now.
Long ago.
Yeah, so much has happened since then. Holy shit.
It's been 84 years.
Yeah.
It was when Chase didn't have a mustache and wasn't as obnoxious.
I didn't even have an armpit hair at the time, honestly.
Good one. Good. I'm really glad that all the all the developers watching are really going to be inspired by this conversation.
And then you came to Bangalore. What were you expecting, and what was it like the first time when you came?
I honestly was expecting, a lot of people know this, like within Super Team, and then a lot of the viewers on here probably don't, but I've been a massive advocate for sort of like India in general, and just bringing opportunity, because like, we'll just be honest, like in the West, we're very spoiled with opportunity. Like, and in some of these other places, those opportunities aren't there. And like being sort of the advocate that I had been during that time, I was expecting like a lot of enthusiasm, and like there was 100% certain that I had to show up, because like I was getting DMs from Super Team and all these people like, you better fucking be there. Like they obviously, like in the Indian culture, nobody would ever say that. They were like, please, I hope you're there. Like, and like, like show it. Was that like a weird thing to say?
No.
We just know what the equivalent was, and we were saying it in our head.
But truly, like I get like an app, like my expectation was that it was going to be huge, and like the biggest signal to the entire Solana Foundation that like the efforts of Super Team were going to prove to be the model for something that was going to change. One thing that I didn't know at the time, that Akshay had his own sort of like, and Tanmay and you and Cash, maybe you guys already knew this ahead of time, that like that sort of Super Team model was going to spread like as it has been. I didn't know that, but I knew that it was important for me to show up, because I knew it was going to be really big. And I knew that like it's important when you are part of an event or a region or whatever, and you're really trying to be there, you have to fucking show up. Because just like throwing some dollars at events, like some other ecosystems do, there's like spread some money here and there, but like when we like support something, we show up. And at the time, like it wasn't just me. There was Jerry and Larry and like and Colin and a handful of these other guys. And the reason the rest of the team on the foundation side didn't show up is because there was a lot of other stuff going on. But for me personally, I'm personally invested in India and Super Team DAO and all these things. So it was really important to be there. My expectations.
And you had your first dosa too in India.
I had my first dosa as well. Yeah, I did. I had my first dose of like Bangalore traffic as well. It was not a pleasant experience.
Hey, it's my hometown, so spare the bullshit on Bangalore. Okay?
I agree with you, Chase. I agree.
I mean,
I
you
had
can
Tanmay move there, and he loves it, and he owes me for the rest of his life for changing, the meaning of a home from like a box inside which you live in Bombay to actually having 4 rooms, being able to have a dog run around in the house. You step out and there's a garden. You
It's been
have
10
a
years
studio.
since you did stand up. It's been 10 years.
Okay, fine.
Has it been that long?
So Tanmay, what have you learned about developer relations? Do you feel like
He actually told me he was coming for my job, by the way. If you didn't like see that on Twitter like a few months ago, he was coming for my job.
So as a DevRel myself,
yes.
my job is to entertain them when they're not coding, and then before they know it, like all these young kids, they're all watching me, they're all laughing, and then suddenly I'm like, come down, come. I just grab them, surprise them. Here's a bounty, go do it. And then
it's like when you're assembling the Avengers team. Yes, I want the man with the mustache and the leopard print shirt. Yes, that's the one I want on my team. Then there's the other one, which is like, we should not talk about developers or coding or engineering at all. We should just entertain them and just distract them, and then before they know it, abduct them into coding. It's like this is truly like an A team of. So, Chase, what have you noticed about developers in India? Say the good thing first, and then after you're done, flattering them, say all the stuff that they need to hear that they don't want to.
Yeah, openly honest, pretty much about everything, internally, externally. Like my Twitter is a free flowing stream of consciousness. Like people will constantly be like, "Why did you tweet that?" Like. And I'll be like, because like that's what
by people you
happened.
mean Raj or
yeah, like pretty much everybody. Honestly, I'll get a DM here and there from people like, why are you saying? But like honestly, like in India, one of the biggest realizations that I realized was there's a little bit of a lack of confidence in some of these developers, and I don't know what that stems from. Like that's not my thing. Also, like coming to Bangalore for the first time, like that was my first experience realizing about like multiple tiered cities and multiple tiered universities, and like how important it is to sort of like have the accolades of working for Google or Facebook or whatever. And I really truly think that Web3 destroys all of that. That gives everybody in these places the opportunity to be like, you know what, I'm going to just go ahead and like go and make my own life and make my own choices and build something really cool. And I don't need all of ranking of my city. None of that stuff matters in Web3 if we actually do this right. And it was a really big learning for me to understand that like the importance of being associated with like those cities or those organizations. Because again, I'll say it, in the West, we're spoiled with opportunity, and like that's not the same there. It was an important learning for me to understand that. And then like, let me just go ahead and just quickly jump into like, I was like, I need a DevRel in India. I need somebody who's just the most passionate person that I can find, and Ayush was the one that was named over and over and over again. And we met and I talked to him, and he really didn't even care about the money. He just was like, I want to be part of this thing. So over the course of the next few weeks, we had some conversations. And then we onboarded.
I think he said, "Don't even pay me. I just want to have the opportunity of something like this."
Right? It was very something like that. And then we onboarded him, and he started crushing it. And we'll make the story just very true. And Ayush was like sort of like relying on DevRel and this, and like wanting to sort of like be part of what we were doing. And I had a private conversation, and I hope he appreciates me just like speaking truthfully about this. And I was like, Ayush, don't try to like ride the coattails of any of this. Go out there and be your own fucking person in India and crush it. That guy literally didn't talk to me for a month and a half, created his own tour funded by himself, and a 17-city tour, university tour, and just went out and just ripped it. And like now Ayush has the most respect and is the most admired person like that I've ever really come across in that space.
Yeah, he took a bunch of trains and stuff to go to 17 cities around India.
He lost
to
like
teach
5,000
developers.
like charges for his iPad or his iMac. Like he got sick. He lost his voice. He did all these things. And I told him, I was like, listen, this was amazing. From now on, let's not do 17 cities in a row. Let's do a couple a month. But like after it was over, I had a call with him recently, and I was like literally almost like tearing up. I was like, Ayush, dude, like you literally just did exactly what I would have done and what anybody, and you're like you destroyed it. And he did. I mean, it's incredible. And like that's the power of like empowering people and just being honest and open with them.
Tanmay has a crew of people that I've seen this with. I've seen this with past jobs I worked, and there's like a culture amongst young professionals in India that is like, I will make it at any cost. Tell me what the cost is. Just tell me what it is.
Yeah.
And I will push against every possible. You don't want to pay me? No problem. Like I'll work again. Like what else? Like you want me to work through the week? Okay, I'll do that. It's like this at any cost, right? And maybe it's not in the entire class of developers or whatever, or marketers, etc. But it is certainly it's like a cultural thing. I don't know what a young Indian thing. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is. Yeah. Chase, feedback time. So right, the enthusiasm is there. What are they got to learn?
So it's sort of in the same vein of the conversation that we had. It's like Ayush was also sort of reserved, and like that needs to shift. That whole sort of mentality needs to shift, and Web3 can make that happen. Like the feedback is get out there. We have to be honest that like Twitter is the space right now. Get out there, get public, make some cool shit, share it publicly. Tag me if you have to on Twitter. Send me a DM. I'll distribute. If you write open source code, if you write some sort of write up, if you do anything that's like benefits the rest of the Solana ecosystem, I will share it, and I'll make sure Akshay and everybody else knows. Just do it. Be confident. Get a social presence. Start interacting with people. Don't feel like you can't be part of the conversation, because I've talked to other like developers from India that were like, I'm just like hesitant. I don't want to I feel like I don't know enough or whatever. That doesn't matter. Neither do I. I don't know shit. I was an engineer for 12 years and now I know nothing. But here I am on this podcast wearing this leopard print shirt and just having a good time. But at the end of the day, obviously I'm joking, but be confident and just go out there and show people what you're doing and what you can do. Because without that, if you just sort of stay in the shadows and just work in private and you don't really try to share what you're up to.
There's a culture where within amongst developers, so neither Tanmay nor I code, but there's an observation we have. There's a culture amongst developers that ship and they will come, or build it and they will come, or this idea that you sort of eye roll at marketing yourself or the product or whatever it is, because you feel like actually the code is the thing that matters, and this is all pre-internet. Roll their eyes at salespeople and be like, what is the big deal in sales? We're building all the product and sales is just selling it. Do you think that culture is common within the developer ecosystem generally? Often the best ones, right? Which is why the best ones are not the spokespersons. And so they leave a vacuum, and power never leaves a vacuum. So it gets filled by all these clown-like outfits that are running hedge funds, LARPing as VCs. And is there a way out of this, or is this just something you accept? And
number one, weirdly and oddly in the Solana ecosystem, yes, there's some clownish stuff that's ridiculous. But if you look at the Armanis and the Mertz and all these other sort of guys, they're oddly, I don't know, in real life, but on Twitter sort of gives these guys a platform. And Armani has been a champion since day one. Anatoly has been a champion. Obviously this is the chain that is his baby, but at the same time he's constantly out there making sure. Now we have the say dialect guys. We have Shek from Super Team, like Gajesh, like the 14-year-old whiz kid from like Super Team. Like, I don't actually think that that's necessarily true. I think there's probably some hidden gigabrains behind the scenes that are still like waiting. But like my advice to you is get your voice, follow Armani, follow Mert, follow these other big voices that are like advocating for their platforms, for their open source and doing this shit. Do what they do. Like, you don't have to be exactly like them. Like, you do it in your own way, but find your voice.
Yeah, I think the best founders, equal parts, amazing developers and amazing communicators. Right? They embrace both the left brain and the right brain skills that it takes to win. And I think that's sort of like the distinguishing feature, which is you just have to get your work out there, right? Like, yes, there will be, a lot of the times I think people feel like, oh, this other person or this other project, it's so hyped. We did this a long time ago. I can do this too. And you're like, well, you're missing the point. You're missing the value of distribution. Because distribution is 50% off the product itself, especially in open source, where part of the whole point is to get your work out there so other people can compose with it. It has to be searchable and findable so other people can use what you built to integrate into their product. Otherwise, it's the distribution is baked into sort of like the open source culture.
Yeah, and so is conviction in the thing that you're building, because like without that conviction and without that passion, like you see with Armani's and the Merts, like nobody follows you and nobody sees that somebody, even like if you're a developer and like and maybe not the founder type and the marketing type, you need to find that like sort of person to do that for you, because without that distribution, without that marketing, and like maybe it's Super Team that you reach out to, or Lamport DAO, or Metacamp, or Soulmeet in Taiwan, or like all these other groups, like you got to find the person that can be your voice. If you are not the person, I'll be honest, I would just watch the Coinbase documentary last night called Coin. When I first watched it, I was like, I'm not watching this documentary. There's no way in hell I'm going to watch this. I watched it last night. Brian Armstrong is like a badass, but he's an introvert. But he had to learn how to, like, he had conviction in what he was building. And I'm like, not like the biggest sort of centralized like thing, but the guy has a vision, and he was an introvert. And like he turned that company and like to the first public crypto company in the world because of that, like he had to learn how to be that. But he also found a co-founder who had a bigger sort of like.
So either you can do it or you find a co-founder who can. But to ignore it and roll your eyes over it is like the least productive thing, and probably going to make you more frustrated and more angry over time as other people who might be less talented than you acquire more distribution with a relatively equal product, and then you just continue to feel just agonizingly negative over time.
Yeah. And I feel like we there's a big thing in like crypto. It's not Solana specifically, but like we're starting with like engineers solving engineering problems first, and then finding a product person later. Like we really need to like think about bringing more product and marketing people into the space first to design products and like experiences that like are relatable to Web 2, and then bringing engineers to solve them. I know every engineer out there is like, I'm an engineer. I can also be a UI guy, and I can also be a product or marketing guy because I'm really good engineer. That's not true. As much as you think, maybe some of you are out there can, but like very few.
I actually want to ask you, Chase, because it's been a tough bear market for the Solana ecosystem specifically, right? But things have changed in the last few months. What's the mood like right now? What's everyone feeling? Like you are plugged into talking to everybody in the ecosystem. What's everyone feeling?
Yeah. So even before that, I'll kind of like start to like break point being like one of the highest of the highs that I've ever experienced in crypto in my entire life. Kevin Bowers from Fire Dancer, and just like all these like incredible things, immediately followed by like this sort of like literally within 24 hours of the end of it, the like from the highest of the highs to the lowest of the lows. For me personally, you it's like a fight or flight thing where like you have two options. You go silent and like you run away, or you sort of just get there. And I did whatever I could personally to just try to keep the moods up. That didn't really help, even though like I continuously like was sort of the bang on that drum, like, hey, we're here, like we're staying. But like obviously like everybody was here on Twitter and like in the space, and it was really like very, very down. But in the past, like actually all of December continued through, that was just like nonstop FUD against like Solana, just like FUD after. It doesn't matter what it was. If like we were just like the perfect target, the perfect clickbait, the perfect everything. But here's what happens. You back a really strong community into a corner. They're going to come back. They're going to fight back. And like this is not an advertisement for any sort of coin, but the community sort of like was like, you know what? Fuck this. They made bonk, and it just got people excited. It got people like into like, just like we're having fun again. Like the whole sort of like Solana is the fun chain meme came along, and like memes are important in crypto, and like it kept going and it kept going and it kept going. Then like Lamport DAO's like, fuck it, we're gonna do Sandstorm. Now they have a hackathon, and like all these things start compounding, and like all that FUD literally got busted in the past like 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even a month. Nobody can talk anything. The network is completely humming along. Nobody can like say shit about that. The NFTs, like I'm hearing recently, are like hitting all-time highs in terms of like volume. Even when the markets got crashed, Solana, the network, held up nothing ever, because obviously, like, we'll be honest, the last year we've had a lot of issues. Whatever it was, like it was bad and it was been fixed, and now like there's not a lot of FUD. Again, I'll just like say this one more time. You back a community that's very strong, developer wise, community wise, artist wise, into a corner. The moment that like things turn around, they're going to spring back harder than you could ever imagine. And that's where we are now. Shit is just getting built. Teams are forming. Then we have Mountain DAO launching. That's like going to be incredible, because Mountain DAO, the previous one, produced Kronos, which has been rebranded recently. Oh, by the way, number 2, developer ecosystem, not 75 devs, over 2,000. Like my whole core job, my whole entire role of this head of developer ecosystem is, my job is to make sure that Solana is the number one blockchain that is the choice of developers for anybody entering Web3. It's very vague, but we have Solana University. We have Dana, who's leading that. We have tons of university efforts. We have boot camps running globally through Turkey, through Georgia, India, like all these different areas. And like, we'll not stop. The train doesn't stop. Like Latin America is also on the radars. Europe, like Southeast Asia, we will not stop. And you can read like the headlines sort of can come out the way that they want. But
what is Solana's strategy with BD and comms?
BD and comms?
Yeah.
No comment. I'm just kidding. It was a joke. I actually like that it was kind of like a random joke, but like that's not really my thing. Comms wise, I'll just say that like in general, any sort of foundation or blockchain should not be out there sort of like running comms for their blockchain themselves. This should be coming from the community. And the BD side, like Solana.
That's what happens for Ethereum, by the way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There is no official channel of communication. It's actually a community that communicates what Ethereum's various EIPs mean, and they write threads about it, or they speak to the press about it. That's sort of like the future, right? Where you have these composable applications that developers take and do like integrate into their apps, and that becomes BD. And you have all these community advocates that start to write about the things that matter, and that becomes comms. And so do you see a role for the Solana Foundation in 5 years from now? If so, what is that role?
So here's my general philosophy, and I say this sometimes, a lot of times actually. My job is to put myself out of a job in the next 5 to 10 years, and I think the Solana Foundation's jobs is generally the same. I think somebody asked me a question: is like, what's the hardest part of the foundation to do that? With DevRel, it's pretty easy. You just build the best developer experience, produce the best content, and then like you can step away in 5 to 10 years. BD is a little bit harder. You have to get that sort of like flywheel spinning around that. And like the way that that works is that like these sort of like super teams and these other groups sort of like become like, I think we talk about cities, and Akshay, you talk about this, like Solana Foundation is this. Every time like a Mountain DAO or a Metacamp or a super team spins up, the giant bubble of Solana Foundation shrinks, and then it gives itself away to this other sort of subgroup. And like the ultimate goal is to step away.
Rapid fire. Let's do rapid fire.
Okay.
All right.
Tanmay, go for it. Sorry. Man, I've been annoying Tanmay so much. Poor guy got up at 6 a.m. for the debate between Anatoly and Togrul.
Oh, that just happened.
That just
Oh, yeah,
happened
that just
3 days
happened.
ago.
Oh, I thought. Oh,
We'll keep
okay.
all of this, by the way. This is like a flight planless podcast. I love this, actually. This is one of the most freeing podcasts I've done.
What's exciting that's coming up, Akshay? What should people keep an eye out for now? I know some hacker houses are coming up.
Yeah, look, I think there's a few things. One, the job board is still open. Go and check out open jobs within Solana ecosystem. That's the best way to go find opportunities to get involved. You know, we like to say, don't speculate with your capital. Invest in yourself. There's a couple of job boards, one Super Team, one Solana Foundation runs one. We'll put both of those. If you don't know how to code yet, or you're an engineer, but you need to sort of like get better at doing stuff on Solana, and which means you need to get better at Rust, then we're going to link to the Build Space course below. That's the best way to get started. The hacker houses are fun. We're going to link to the hacker houses that are happening in India. There are two of them happening in September, one in Bombay and one in Bangalore, one in Mumbai and one in Bangalore. Best way to get the most out of them is to learn how to code before that hacker house, so you can sort of contribute to some open source code, or ship some small stuff within the Solana ecosystem that can set some context for when you come to the hacker house and meet with other folks. There's also a hackathon coming up, which is the biggest and most prestigious event to get involved in if you're a builder looking to become a founder. We're not allowed to say when. Maybe Chase can say it in more colorful words, but all I'm allowed to say is it's sometime in Q1 of this year. Chase, do you want to say more about that and why that's important?
I can't say anything about that. I have zero comments about that. But there is a hackathon in Q1. We do this Q1 hackathon every single year. But like, no, it's true. Like we do a hackathon Q1, like, because historically we're talking about multi-million dollars, like single-digit $1 million of prizes and VC funding. With the last big winner being Ironforge, with Italio from SolDev, the original creator of SolDev. There's just so much opportunity with these hackathons, and this is why like we constantly work with developers around the world to learn how to build on Solana, because when we do these global hackathons, they are the biggest events in Web3. They are the biggest fundraising events. They are the biggest opportunity for anybody. So learn how to build on Solana and get ready for these global hackathons.
Awesome. We didn't reveal any dates, or we didn't reveal any confirmations. So I guess you have to like and subscribe and follow everybody. Follow Chase. Just warning you guys, Chase tweets a lot, but it's fun. It's fun. Follow him. Feel free to DM him. If you can't register for the hackathon, but you still want to, enter it illegally, you can DM him as well. Apparently, that also
if you
works.
have any alternative, fashion suggestions for him, for shirts he could wear on the next episode, please tag him on Twitter and put a picture of the shirt. And if you like it, we'll share it, because anything is better than whatever the fuck he's wearing right now.
And the hair is
We'll just go ahead and finish with that.
Have you been told you look like Weird Al Yankovic?
Sometimes.
Anyway, on that note, Chase, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your support always. I know it's late in Costa Rica.
Thanks for all that you do for Super Team, Solana, and God bless you, my man.
All right. Thank you, guys. Peace.
Long live the mustache. See you guys next time.